Picture this. It's 3 p.m. Your to-do list is full of important tasks like blogging your last elopement, updating your pricing guide, or writing literally anything for your website, and you've done none of it. You're doom scrolling Instagram, feeling guilty, and wondering why you can't just start. Sound familiar? If you're an elopement photographer with ADHD or even just ADHD tendencies, you are definitely not alone. And today we're going to talk about how to actually get shit done, even when your brain is like, let's do anything but that. Welcome to Stoked, the podcast that helps adventure elopement photographers hit six figures and beyond in their businesses without hustling on social media. I'm your host, Megan MacPhail, a former burnt-out emergency veterinarian that quit my hard-earned career to become an elopement photographer. Now I'm living a life I absolutely love, full of travel, adventure, and financial abundance, and I am hell-bent on helping you do the same. Are you ready to start booking out your calendar with dream couples in breathtaking locations and feeling genuinely stoked about your elopement photography business, life, and bank account? Then let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's your host, Megan MacPhail.
And your co-host, Todd Reedy.
And as an elopement photographer and educator with really bad ADHD, I've had to find my own weird ways to stay productive. And we just talked about all of this in the Elopement Photographer Mastermind. So I was like, we got to do a podcast episode about this. And it's especially important to use some weird ways to stay productive when the tasks are really important but not urgent, which is what a lot of the things that are going to truly move the needle forward in your business and get you bookings and profit and stuff. A lot of those tasks are non-urgent, so they end up being on your to-do list forever.
And for those of you who don't have ADHD, like myself, this episode could be for you too, because you may learn something about your spouse or other people you work with, but also you may find it interesting to just figure out how your brain works compared to others.
So first of all, ADHD brains aren't bad and we're not lazy. We just don't get dopamine from normal productivity. We need urgency and novelty and accountability or just something that's fun. And if we don't have those things, then the smallest thing can feel really impossible. I did a whole podcast episode about how laziness is a lie. So if you need to go back to that episode and listen to it, please do. But there's a lot of things that get pushed aside for weeks or months or even years because they're not urgent. So our brain doesn't want to do them. And that's things like blogging your recent work or creating Pinterest graphics or writing new website copy or following up with a lead from 2 weeks ago or setting up automations and workflows, taxes, bookkeeping. All that stuff isn't fun and doesn't get done. And instead we end up doom scrolling on Instagram or rotting on the couch watching Netflix. And sometimes I need to rot on the couch and watch Netflix. I need to recover from whatever I've been working on, but we also need to figure out ways to get this stuff done because we just can't have a business that perpetually has this overwhelming to-do list. Like we have to be able to trick ourselves into getting these things done.
And that big list isn't like the top of my priority list of being a non-ADHD diagnosed person.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't jump out of bed and like want to do taxes or want to do those things that you just mentioned. So I guess it's not that uncommon to not want to do the tasks that you don't want to do. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of a normal thing. Like all people gravitate towards the things that they like, that they enjoy doing, or that they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that part is un-neurotypical.
Yeah. So for one thing, I want people with ADHD to focus on the non-urgent stuff because the urgent stuff will almost always get done. You will almost always procrastinate until the 11th hour, but if there's a deadline or an urgency to a task, it will normally get done. That's one of the things that ADHD folks are good at is like pulling all-nighters or getting things done at the very last second. I'm like the queen of that. I can get like a week's worth of work done in an hour if there's a deadline looming. So try to start your day with like one non-urgent task that you can get done. Don't start your day checking off the urgent stuff just because it feels good to check it off your to-do list, which I know Todd sometimes does that, even as a neurotypical.
Oh yeah. When I write my to-do list, I'll like do the first thing on the list, which is a star, which other like podcasters and other people have called that like the highlight of your day. So like the one thing that you have to get done. And I often put that first on the list, but I may not necessarily do that task first because yeah, it's usually a big task that I've probably been putting off.
Yeah.
Already.
But the other thing is, I want you guys to break things out of your long to-do list because I used to have a running to-do list of everything I needed to do, and to look at that list was overwhelming. So I want you to break out some things that go together from that huge to-do list, put that huge to-do list away, and basically be like, the first Tuesday of the month, I am going to write some blogs. And whatever blogs I write that day are the blogs that I wrote for the whole month. It's just that one day. It's not something that I'm going to wake up every day and be like, I have to blog and I have to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this. It's going to get lost. So just batch some things and just instead of waking up every day thinking you have to do all of the things, it makes my brain really happy to wake up and be like, okay, this is the day that I don't do anything else but blog. Or for me as an educator, I have days where I don't do anything else but do my Zoom calls. And I get to forget everything else. Whatever else is on my to-do list can wait till the next day because this is the day I focus on this one thing. And that makes my brain a little happier.
And do you decide on that beforehand? I know like the Zooms you do because those are scheduled, but like other tasks, is it helpful to like know going to bed the night before that the following day is set for task X?
For me, it does, yeah. And then, if I can't just sit in my house and write a bunch of blogs, then that's when I need to create some false urgency and basically go out someplace fun, like a new coffee shop. Or Todd and I used to go to breweries and write blogs. And it creates a false urgency because you have to get something done before you leave that place. But then you also have some novelty because you're going to someplace new. So your brain's like, ooh, this new lavender latte is so good. Or like the art on the wall is so fun. Like, I don't know, just getting out of the house sometimes can help me get stuff done and get it done more quickly. So that's like another trick that I'll do is when I really need to get something done, going out someplace to make it more fun than just like sitting at my house being like, ugh, I have to blog, So batching things and then also going out to coffee shops, breweries, or whatever. But then another weird hack is working in hotels. So for me, working in a hotel, especially if I have some like big project I have to get done, also creates a fake deadline or false urgency for me because I have a certain checkout time where I have to leave. So I don't have any distractions. I don't have animals. I don't have a husband around. It's just me sitting on a hotel bed with my laptop, and I can get some work done. I can order some food. I don't have to worry about dishes. And you'd be amazed at how much work you can get done staying at a hotel with no other distractions and having it that kind of be the reason why you're at the hotel.
And I can't tell you how many hotel rooms that we've checked out of after an elopement that we'll like literally get in the car and it'll be like clockwork. 11:02, 11:05, like literally the last minute that Megan had been working on sneak peeks from the elopement before while I'm packing up the car, and boom, checkout time comes and all the tasks are done. Sneak peeks are sent. And we move on with our lives.
Yep, that's definitely one of the ways I'm always able to get sneak peeks out the day after an elopement because we're normally checking out of the hotel at 11. And so I get my backups done and my sneak peeks done and then pack my stuff. And 11:02, we're out the door. So, but using a change in scenery and like, again, creating those deadlines is really helpful for me. And you can also do those. You can create deadlines kind of at home too, like if you wake up and you have to work from home and you really are like, I've got to get this website copy done. I'm going to prioritize that, and I'm going to break it down into the littlest little step, because when you look at the whole picture, it becomes overwhelming and you don't want to do anything. So when I start feeling that, like my executive dysfunction is not going to let me work on it, I just have to figure out what the littlest step is. And sometimes that's just opening my laptop. Sometimes that is opening up a Google Drive or a Google Doc and like writing one sentence or something. And then normally momentum kind of takes over. But breaking down something into the babiest of baby steps, my brain is like, oh yeah, I can open my laptop and then reward myself with a sweet treat. I can do that. And then all of a sudden I'm actually working, So sometimes I have to just break things down into the babiest of baby steps and reward myself with something for completing that little teeny baby step. And then before I know it, I'm actually doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing. The other thing that I notice is that when I have too much stuff swirling around in my brain and it kind of feels like I'm juggling all this stuff, and if I stop juggling it all to truly focus on something, I'm going to forget something, a ball's going to drop. And that's really when I get paralyzed. So that's when I do a brain dump. And I swear, Todd, you can like tell when I need to brain dump. Do I just get like a glazed look in my eye or like...
I don't know what the tell is, but yeah, there's probably a definite tell that I can like pick up on and know that you've got too much going on.
Yeah, and there's just too much swirling in my brain. So either I'll notice and be like, I got to go brain dump. And I'll literally say that like in the middle of us hanging out, or you'll tell me that because I'm like pacing the house like a weirdo with like just walking from room to room. Like I think trying to trigger something in my brain, like if I see something, then I'll know what I'm supposed to be focusing on. But really my brain is just juggling too much and I have to close out some of the tabs. There's too many open tabs, right? So Todd knows he's not going to be upset with me if mid-sentence I'm like, I got to go brain dump. Because I'll be much happier once I do that. But I just open a Google Doc and I basically write down, I word vomit. I don't make a nice little list or anything like that. I just throw all my thoughts onto a page. So then I know that it's all safe in this Google Doc. I got everything out of my mind, all the things I was trying to juggle, all the tabs that were open, all the things that I kept repeating in my brain so I would remember it, now is down in a Google Doc and is safe. And then after that, normally I'm able to focus on the task at hand. But if I have too many tabs open, too many balls going on, too many things I'm trying to remember to do, then I just really get paralyzed. So you got to brain dump sometimes. The other thing that I have done, I have workflows for a lot of the stuff that I do. And I like to do things in order so I don't miss things, because a big part of ADHD is forgetfulness. So I realized in my elopement planning workflow that I'd get to the stage where my couples had finished a questionnaire and then I had to email them back some ideas of what we could do for their elopement. And that would be on my to-do list for weeks, if not months. I would just keep pushing it off. I'd feel so guilty that my couples are probably like anxiously waiting for all my location suggestions and stuff like that. And like, I knew I could get it done in an hour, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I recognized that I was stalling out in this part of my workflow, that I wasn't feeling good about it because I felt guilt and shame surrounding it of not getting it done. And my couples probably didn't like it because they had no idea when they were going to get this information from me. It just kept dragging out. So I was like, how could I make this more friendly for me, for my brain and how I operate? I didn't know I had ADHD at this time. A lot of my quirks that I've developed, I didn't realize I had ADHD at the time, but I realized that I could have my couples schedule a Zoom call with me. And then if they scheduled a Zoom call with me, and the purpose of that Zoom call was to go over my location suggestions, I would need to have those locations done and have the work done before that Zoom. Genius, right? So now instead of just emailing them a timeline and location suggestions, I have them schedule a Zoom, and basically I'm able to get all the work done in like maybe an hour before the Zoom. And then I present it to them. And not only does that work for my brain, they know exactly when they're going to get the information, so they're happy. And then because I'm presenting it to them live, I get their feedback and we can change things right there on the call. So it has totally streamlined my planning experience. And it all started just because I have ADHD and I postpone and procrastinate on non-urgent tasks. Now I made it urgent and everybody's happy. Hey, real quick, if you're loving this episode and you're an elopement photographer or dreaming of becoming one, you need to know about ElopementCon 2025. It's a 4-day virtual summit happening May 5th through the 8th, and it's packed with trainings from 23 different elopement photographers, all sharing what's actually working in their businesses right now. We're talking posing, pricing, planning, systems, SEO, Pinterest, inclusivity, mindset, all the things that go into building a business that feels aligned and sustainable. Tickets are just $9, and that gets you 24-hour access to each day's lineup. Or you can upgrade to the 12-month access pass for $47 and rewatch the videos whenever you need them throughout the year. Head to the show notes to grab your ticket, and I'll see you inside ElopementCon.
That process does not go well with my inner being.
Why?
Well, because I would feel so nervous. Well, granted, you've been like planning these things. And so I assume if it was like a brand new location, you'd obviously not do it 30 minutes right before.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like need to spend some time doing it. And so maybe that's my hang up because I haven't been doing it for as many years as you. But I would want to start that as soon as possible to give myself as much time to complete the task. But I would also probably drag it on and I would like be meticulous and like research every potential option, which I do. So it's just a different way that our brains would work. And I'd inevitably end up like polishing it off the last hour, but I would probably be building it for weeks and weeks on end.
What? I must have it down to a science. I can even like locations that I haven't been to, I feel like I can figure things out really, really quickly. Like maybe give me 2 hours, maybe.
Oh yeah, you've been doing this a lot longer than me.
Yeah.
But I would want to like know the kind of the pieces and know what I have to research later on and like, spread it out.
You also overcomplicate things.
I do. And I overanalyze and play out every scenario. Anyways, let's go back to ADHD.
Yeah. So a couple other things, if you have ADHD, you probably know about is body doubling. So that is like a trick where if someone else is working, then you get work done. And what I notice is that because I have my own coach and she has a bunch of calls every month. And even if I don't really have anything that I want to talk to her about, I still go to the calls because I get so much work done on those calls. You know, it's like I'm listening to the other members in the background asking questions. And I'm just like, I can get so much work done in that hour. It's just crazy to me. So body doubling, whether you work with a work friend, you meet up at a coffee shop, you do a Zoom call together, or like for members of the Elopement Photographer Mastermind, like they can come to any of the calls and just hang out and get work done in the background. And I think that's very helpful for the ADHD folks. Also playing music in the background, or for me, having like a Netflix show in the background, maybe one I've seen before, or like true crime, because they just repeat the same thing over and over again. So I can kind of follow the story and work at the same time. And then my brain is happy because I'm like working, quote unquote, but also watching TV. Like that makes my brain happy.
I cannot do that.
You can't watch TV and work?
No, I got to be like in it. I got to be in the work. I can't be distracted because then I feel like I'm like half-assing both, and then I'm going to have to rewatch the TV show again, and then I'm going to have to redo all the work again. Or like you had a Zoom today and I was trying to work in the office in the background and I kept getting distracted, like getting sucked into the conversation, just listening instead of staying focused on my tasks. So, yeah, neurotypical. Is that a neurotypical thing that I want to be like really into the thing?
Probably.
And not be distracted with
because I feel
external
like
stimuli.
I need the distraction. I feel like part of my brain like is watching the show and part of my brain is like working. I don't know how to describe it, but like it helps me. Yeah, it helps me to work more because it's more fun. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but my ADHD folks will know. Yeah, if I'm just like in a quiet room, I'll just get up and start walking around or something. I won't get anything done. It's got to be fun. It's almost too like, it's like in the past, I couldn't like watch, if you're working a 9 to 5, you can't watch TV and work. So it's almost also like this fun thing that I only get to do because I work from home is like do both at the same time, just like lay in bed and like work, quote unquote.
I can't relate to that. I have heard of people like tricking themselves into that. Like, what would this task look like if it was fun? And I've tried that. I think the example that this one writer that's where I learned about it. The example is that you would like put on Lord of the Rings music. And like I've tried to do that to think like I'm going on an adventure and I'm going to go do these things with like this epic soundtrack in the background. And it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I need the silence.
Yeah. That's weird. But I could see ADHD folks being able to do that. Another thing I kind of do is I can't really, and I've talked about this before, I can't really like work and clean the house on the same days. Those have to be completely separate days. If it's a work day, I'm in work mode. And even if I'm not working, I'm still kind of like
thinking about it
or having like a wind up period to getting the task done. And I don't think you understand the whole wind up period before getting a task done. And dating you was what made me realize that there's something genuinely weird with me, because you would literally just be like, I have these tasks that need to get done. Boom, 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 boom. Done, 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 done. And, oh, we got to leave in 30 minutes. Cool. I'm going to take Otto to the park real quick to like play catch. And to me, I'm like, that's going to take you too long. Like, if we're leaving in 30 minutes, I'm in leaving mode. I got to just get ready to leave. Like, there's this whole wind up period to everything that I do. And seeing Todd just like bang out task after task after task and then do things right before he does other things, it's just mind boggling to me that you're able to do that.
This is also very funny because now I've learned that you can't do that. So like today we had several, events that needed to occur. And it was like, oh, well, we have like an hour. Can we squeeze in a podcast? And I knew not to even ask.
Yeah.
Because there's no way, if it's bookended with two different things, there's no way you can squeeze another task into today's list.
No, especially not last minute, because my brain is already on the train of like winding down from one task and then winding up to the next task. Like there's no time to squeeze in the other task because that task needs a wind up and a wind down period.
Well, there could be time if there wasn't the wind up and wind down.
Yeah. But thank God you understand. And like kind of going back to the whole doing housework or working thing, like, and I can't do them both on the same day. Because I know some people in the mastermind were talking about how like they were folding laundry and then they were putting dishes away, but like they're still trying to get this blog post done or whatever. Like I just can't mix those tasks. It's an either or for me. Todd's looking at me like I'm crazy. But I'm like, I'm going to work today. And like, if I start doing other tasks, it's like, I'm going to drop all my work balls that I'm juggling, And it's like, I either have my work tabs open or like my laundry and shower tabs working. Although I did squeeze in a shower today in between things, which was really abnormal for me.
Get wild over here.
Yeah.
So what you're explaining is like you do better when you're at a different location and you're like designating work and home time. So like, do you think you would thrive better in like an office environment? Because that's exactly what you're describing, right? Like you're leaving home to go to work, to do work tasks. You leave there to come home to do home tasks.
Yeah. I don't know if I could answer that. Yeah.
But isn't that, that's what you're explaining more or less. But yeah, I think in this entrepreneurial and like mixing business with life and with relationships, all these things that we've now tried to kind of merge together is probably good in some respects, but it's also difficult in other respects because you're always thinking about work when you're hanging out with your friends or maybe like, you know what I mean? Like we're meshing all these things together that maybe should be separate.
Well, I have to say that I have no interest in going to an office every day. That I would rather work from home and lay in my bed and have to watch Netflix and trick myself into getting things done. But I do think that that is a genuine thing that photographers struggle with, or anybody who's working from home, is the whole like working / housework / time with their spouse and pets thing. that is definitely hard to mingle all of those things and keep your brain in a, I don't even know how to describe it. But like, I think one of the things that helps is like, I really don't work past 5, like ever. And I think my brain just automatically starts winding down around that time anyway. So I can't really do it if I wanted to. So that's kind of our time to hang out. But yeah, like I was never going to be one of those women that did a bunch of house chores during the day. That's just not something. House chores, as you know, Todd, I mean, it'll take me like 3 days of wind up to vacuum our bedroom floor.
Yeah. I get it. I've seen it.
Yeah. And then I'm like out of commission for hours after that. So,
Listeners, little did you know that you were just going to have a listening session to how Megan and I go on with our lives.
Yeah. Well, and I really want to share all this and how freaking weird my brain is and how I'm not good at a lot of things and that I have to trick myself into getting, like, I want to normalize all this because so many people are struggling with this. And I think what happens with a lot of folks with ADHD is we have so much guilt and shame about these tasks that we don't finish, and these location guides we don't send out on time, and the unvacuumed floors and the dirty dishes, and like these things that we struggle with that we'll spend hours wanting to do and don't get it done. And then there's just so much guilt and shame about that. And like, I keep just saying guilt and shame, like throwing it around, but those are heavy emotions. Those are very heavy emotions. And I used to struggle a lot on days where I needed to basically rest and recharge, because that's another big part of having ADHD is you really need downtime, and prioritizing that while you're cleaning the house and going grocery shopping and cooking me dinner. And I'm just sitting there all day. That was hard for me to be able to be like, I need this downtime. And you're running around doing all these chores and I'm just laying here. But like, I can't function if I don't just lay here. And you understood that. And that was, I think that's a huge part of why we work well together too, is because you've learned about all my weirdness.
I mean, it's definitely been a process
Mm-hmm.
because, yeah, and it goes both ways. Again, we've figured out what works,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel guilty doing other things when you're, hustling on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and making sales and things like that. So, like, yeah, it's taken a while to figure out each other, and we've had to talk about it and like work through those things. It
Yeah.
wasn't like from day one we were just in sync, but 180 degrees out of sync. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you've had to learn too, because you were, I don't know how to explain it other than you had a really tight butthole about a lot of things.
Fair.
And you wanted things structured and done a certain way and had rules about them. And then I'm here just chaotic, flying by the seat of my pants. And yeah, I feel like I've had to meet you, you've had to meet me. But the big thing of sharing all of this stuff is not only to give you guys some little weird tips and tricks to think about, but also normalize it and give yourself grace, and I think one of the hardest things for me to learn as a person with ADHD is like, when am I actually procrastinating and need to figure out some quirky way to get this work done versus when do I actually need a break and just spend a few days doing absolutely nothing. And that has been a learning process, because if you don't rest and recharge, you do burn out. And I have burnt out multiple times, and it's not fun. You just kind of become numb and go through the motions and kind of don't remember things like life that you're living. And yeah, so it's definitely a learning curve, and everyone's brain is different. And yeah, definitely kind of do a gut check if you need more productivity hacks, or do you need to give yourself grace and give yourself a break?
And the break part probably is across the board, not just for ADH folks, but like all people. Like, we're all probably doing more than we need to be doing at a faster pace than our body and our minds can like hold up. I say this most recently because I just try to jam pack several days worth of physical labor into like one day, and then I skied the next day, and then I was out of commission all of yesterday because I had a migraine and my
Mhm.
body forced me to take a break.
Yeah.
So like even neurotypical people need to probably take more breaks than we envision. Maybe that's just also because we're getting old.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's a great thing because Todd can get things done better than I can. So then he pushes himself too hard and then a migraine sets in and I'm like, that's your body telling you you need to build in some rest days. So yeah, we all need to give ourselves more grace and relax more and not just try to be productivity robots. But yeah, definitely think about some of the little tips and tricks that I shared, like breaking things down into the teeniest, tiniest baby step, creating false urgency through going places or hotel stays or Zoom calls, batching things like scheduling one day out of the month where you do this one certain thing, body doubling, all those little things. And then if you just cannot bring yourself to do something, freaking outsource it. Get it off your plate onto somebody else's so you can release all the guilt and shame and get it done. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. It was a little different because there was a lot of my personal issues, but you can have really bad ADHD and still have a very successful business and love what you do. And I think I am proof of that. And you can be in a differently abled relationship and work really well together. So yeah, let us know what you thought of the episode, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of Stoked. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend. If you're looking for more inspiring elopement photography content, check us out on Instagram at Megan MacPhail. And if you'd like to hear more about my business coaching and how I can personally help you hit six figures as an elopement photographer, then check out my website at www.meganmacphail.com.